Hey everybody, welcome back to Ravenstead. It's time for another build. I wanted to continue on the Hidden Valley. I have plans to make a lot of these tiles here and connect them all together. So I'm just kind of try and match up the elevations here. I'm using a craft knife here throughout the video. I don't cut myself, so don't worry about that. So I just made some plunging cuts on that and then broke it off. If you're having a hard time breaking foam, you can break it over the edge of a table. Right here where the two pieces match up, the new tile and the previous build, I wanted to be kind of careful. Using a wire brush there to match up the texture of the rock face. And then I wanted to make sure that I had the base textured. Forgot that step last time. Had to go in with a smaller piece of aluminum foil and texture in against that rock, so we're learning. Gonna use that wire brush there to make some striations in the rock wall and then glue this piece down, trying to very carefully match it up to the other tile. I mean, you're gonna see a seam there, but still we want it as close as we can get it. Put a couple of deck screws in the bottom there, kind of add a little extra weight to the piece. Hot glue is probably good enough to hold the piece down, but it's nice to have those screws in there too. So we got to continue that spire there on the top. I'm just going to whittle this piece down. If you have a hard time breaking your foam, I found that using older foam that's been exposed to UV, I actually put a piece of foam outside over the summer, and that UV kind of breaks it down, and it's a little easier to break off pieces. Not totally necessary, but so I like a lot of different levels on my builds. Some of it is for detail, like that little spot there, but a lot of it I'm keeping in mind places to put miniatures, because this will be a playable piece that we'll use at the game table. There we go. Pretty good matchup. That looks kind of cool with the two tones there. And I'll take some time to dress up the edges, and all of that will get painted as well. Wanted to add a little bit of rocks in here. Anywhere that I've got a long flat run, you can see that, like that straight line there where I'm about to put this stone. Kind of needs something to break it up. And I wanted to make a mine, an old abandoned mine. I gotta be mindful of where those screws are. And I'm just going to carve out the entrance to the mine. I just picked out the foam. Got it deep enough to where the shadow would really make it look like a deep tunnel. And I made a little entrance to it. Remembering that I'm not going to be able to get to those areas too well after I start building the entrance of the mine, I go ahead and black bomb that out. And then I made up some strips of foam and textured them with a wire brush to make my lumber. And we'll just build up the entrance to the mine there. Just kind of cobbling it together. I wanted it to look kind of ramshackled. And we got to get our rotten plank in there too. So once I get all that built, I'm going to black bomb this thing out with a mixture of Mod Podge and black paint. Get a good coat of that all over. While that's drying, I just want to take a second to tell you about my new Kickstarter project, Brock's Bones. It's a tabletop game that I've designed. Has pewter tokens and coins. I make that here in the shop at Ravenstead. There'll also be a leather dice tray included in the project. Both the game and the dice tray come with a free set of dice. There's a link in the description below if you want to check out the project page. I think our base coat is probably almost dry here. Let's give this dice tray a test. And I wasted a nat 20. Great. Anyway, back to the build. So we're going to do some dry brushing. First coat is going to be graphite gray, and then a light gray, and then a medium brown on all the wood. Very light brown to highlight the wood, and then I put that up on the rocks a little bit. I'm trying to match the palette of the last piece, and then some parchment which is a really pale beige. I'll pick out all the details on the stone, and then a little bit of green. We're going to flock this piece too. So once I get all the dry brushing done, we'll do a series of washes. I use a wet on wet technique for putting washes on. So the first one is a burnt umber acrylic ink and water mixture, about 50-50. And I brush that over the entire piece. So that's kind of the base wash and gets everything colored a little bit and wet. And then I'll go in with some green wash here and there wherever I want moldy, grassy areas to be. And that really flows in with the piece being already wet. That's cool. And a little Vallejo rust wash. That's straight out of the bottle. I don't dilute that. Sometimes I do, but in this case I did not. I'm just adding in some rusty detail. I imagine this being an old iron mine. So there's a lot of indication of surface iron in the rock, and then tailings coming out of the mine. Looks pretty cool. Once it's all dry, it kind of gets muted. I'm just going to brush on some PVA glue straight out of the bottle. And this will be for my first layer of flocking. I'll use a fine flocking, Woodland Scenics. And just sprinkle that on, get a good heavy coat on there. Tap off the excess, and then we'll see what we've got. It's pretty good at sticking to that PVA glue. Works pretty well. There we go. First coat. Now we need a little bit more texture. So I'll dab in some glue here and there, and then I'm going to use my homemade mix. This is preserved moss and a little bit of flower flocking that I run through a grinder. That gives us a little color variation and a little bit more texture. And then we've got some shiny spots there. We'll just put on some watered down PVA glue and then a medium flocking. I really have to press that on to kind of get it to stick. So now we need some clump foliage, kind of match the other piece. I've got it there as a reference. A little bit of preserved lichen next to the mine there. This mine's going to be full of rats, I bet. And bats. Lots of bats. Covering up a little mistake there. You can see an edge where the two pieces met, so just put a piece of foliage there. So we can hide our mistakes, it's no big deal. Little static grass that I made. There was a little bit of glue shining through the static grass. So I just sprinkled a little bit of fine flocking over top of that. Took care of that problem, no big deal. And a couple little more pieces of static grass. Little spot for our critters to live. I think one more bush, maybe right here on top. And then I'll spin this for you and get a closer look. There it is. The Hidden Valley Part 2. This is the Lost Mine. Next to the other piece that I made. It's a pretty good matchup. So I'll have enough of these tiles that I can get 120 scale feet across the build. That'll give us a good playable area. There the guys checking out the mine entrance. Yeah, what could go wrong? There's that rotten plank. They're not worried. Hey, leave me a comment. Love to hear from you guys. And thanks for watching the video. Appreciate it.